Okay, so we are going to do our lesson for rounding. I'm just going to take a few notes so that you can remember our rounding song, as well as how to use it to actually help you round. And I like to call it our rounding rep. All right, first, let's start with the number 58, as well as 72. We're going to be looking at these numbers as our examples and rounding to the tens place. So to the tens. All right. Well, if I know I'm rounding to the tens place, then I need to start by looking at the tens place. The first step in our song is to round the score. We must look before. All right, so as you can see, score is underlined because if we're looking to round to the tens place, our score should start at the tens place. All right, so to round this score, we must look before and the ones place. I'm going to go ahead and circle it. Well, to know what I do with that, I got to know the next part of the song. So to round this score, I must look before. If it's 4 or less, we let it rest. But 5 or more, we raise that score. So if I look at this 8, I know that it's 5 or more, so I need to raise that score. So he's going to help raise up our 5. So this means that 58 is closest to 60. All right, well, let's look at 72. I'm going to round this to the nearest tens place, so my score is in the tens place. To round this score, I must look before. Now I'm looking at the ones place. I can see that this 2 is 4 or less, so we're going to let it rest. So I'm just going to cross him off. I'm not even going to do anything with him, which means that 72 is closest to 70. This is how we are going to think about rounding on our worksheet. This is just a reminder from what we talked about in class. I'm going to go to our homework now. Okay, we are on the page that says homework 1-8, rounding on the number line, and it says another look. You can see the guy right here. You can use a number line to round to the nearest 10, 100, 1,000, or 10,000. We'll start right here. Round 483 to the nearest 10. Oh, I know that's the nearest 10. So if I look at the point of 483, it says 481, 482, 483, right here. 483 is closer to 480 than 490. This is true. 480 is closest. It only takes us 1, 2, 3 jumps, and he's only going to go the shortest distance. He's lazy. He's not going to go this whole distance to the next 10 over here. So yes, 483 is closer to 480 than 490. So 483 would round to 480. This is our first example. Our second example says 483 to the nearest 100. So this has changed. Now we're rounding to the nearest 100. Well, I know that our number starts with a 4, so our number line should also start with 400. The next 100 would be 500. Our midpoint is 450, and 483 is right here. Well, this one says 483 is closer to 500 than 400. This is true. Look, he's not quite on this line, so he jumps a little bit and then one regular jump. He's going to go this short distance. He's not going to go all the way back to 400 because 483 is lazy. He's going to get jumped up to 500. So this is also true. 483 is closer to 500 than 400, so 483 rounds to 500. Okay, I'm going to skip the next two examples because on here we have round to the nearest 10 and round to the nearest 100. I'll come back to these examples when we go to nearest 1,000 and nearest 10,000. Okay, so round 328 to the nearest 10. It gives me where 328 is, and if I didn't know, I could also count 320, 321, 322, 323, 324, 325, 326, 327, 328. Well, if I'm looking at the nearest 10, remember we said 10's place, I must look before. I know that 8 is going to help me round up that 2. And it's closest to 330. So both my song and the number line can help me remember how to round. So I'm just going to say 328 is closer to 330, that number right there. So 328 rounds to 330. Period. All right, well, let's look at number 2. Round 630 to the nearest 100. So it says nearest 100. Now I'm looking at the hundreds place. To round this score, I must look before at this 3. Well, that 3, it's less than 4. So we're going to leave him alone. Let's see if we're right. Here's 630. He takes 1, 2, 3 jumps to get to 600. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 jumps to 700. He's not going to go that far. He's going to take the short, lazy distance and round down to 600. He is closer to 600. So I can say 630 is closer to 600. So 630 rounds to 600. Okay, now that we are done with rounding to the nearest 10 and the nearest 100, let's go back up to our examples. Let's talk about rounding 4,830 to the nearest 1,000. All right, well, we're talking about the thousands place because it says nearest 1,000. I know that this 4 is in the thousands place. So to round this score, I must look before. And that's a 5 or more because it's 8. So I know that he's going to have to help him round up. Well, let's check. 4,830 is right here on the number line. Look how close to 5,000 he is. So yes, our song helps us know that we have to round up to 5,000. Because he's not going to travel all this way back. He wants to go the shortest distance. All right, round 48,300 to the nearest 10,000. So now we're talking about the 10,000s place. I have ones, tens, hundreds, thousands, 10,000s. That's my score. To round this score, I must look before. All right, well, that 8 is 5 or more. So he's going to help me round up. Here's the number on the number line. He only has to jump 1, 2 to this 10,000. He's not going to go all that way to go down to 40,000. He's going to round up. So we would round 48,300 to 50,000. Okay. Excuse me. Let's do our example right here. Number 3. Round 6,499 to the nearest thousand. Oh, nearest thousand. That tells me where I need to be looking. What score am I looking for? The nearest thousand, I need to go to the thousands place. To round this score, I must look before. All right, well, that's 4 or less. So I'm going to have to round down. I'm not even going to mess with him. He can't help me make this bigger. So he's right here. 499. He's right before. He's going to round 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Like a little bit less than that because he's not quite on there. He's going to round down because that 4 tells me I let it rest. We would round this to 6,499 is closer to 6,000. So 6,499 rounds to 6,000. This was a tricky one because they put that dot so close to 6,500, but he's not quite there. So it actually is closer to 6,000 because he didn't make it all the way. If it was 5 or more, then we could have rounded up. But since it's 4 or less, we're going to let him rest. Okay, number 4. Round 15,500 to the nearest 10,000. So I got to find the 10,000s place. Let's see, ones, tens, hundreds, thousands, 10,000s. So to round this score, I must look before. There it is on our number line. This is 5 or more. So we have to round him up. We have to raise it up. We can also count our jumps. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, and then a little bit. So 4 and a little bit. Well, this one is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and a little bit. Well, 15,500. He's going to go the shortest distance. He doesn't want to travel a long time. So we're going to round him up to 20,000. So our 1 will become a 2 for the 10,000s place. We can say 15,500, I apologize, is closer to 20,000. So 15,500 rounds to 20,000. I'm going to do 5 and 6 with you, but then you are going to try to do the back by yourself. You have another example right here, and then I want you to do the guided practice all by yourself. Okay, guided practice and the independent practice. Okay, number 5. It says round 429 to the nearest 10 and 100. Okay, so I'm going to put 429 to the nearest 10 and 429 to the nearest 100. I'm going to show you how we do that. Okay, so nearest 10 first. Well, that means I have to find the tens place. So tens place is right here. Ones, tens, hundreds. I'm going to underline my score. To round this score, I must look 4. I know the ones place comes before. So I'm going to do 4 or less, I let it rest. 5 or more, we raise that score. Well, I know 9 is 5 or more. So he's going to help raise up that 2. So now it's going to be 430. Our 2 will become a 3, and we already used our 9 to help us, so we'll make him a 0. Okay, let's do to the nearest 100. Well, nearest 100 means hundreds place, so I got to find hundreds place. Ones, tens, hundreds. There it is. Well, to round this score, I must look before. Looking before. 4 or less, let it rest. 5 or more, raise that score. 2 is less than 4, so I'm going to let it rest. And I don't need this friend, so he's going to round down to 400. Okay, let's do round 23,421 to the nearest 1,000 and 10,000. Okay, I'm going to draw the number 23,421 to the nearest 1,000 first. So that means I have to find the thousands place. Let's see. Ones, tens, hundreds, thousands. There it is. I'm going to underline it. To round this score, I must look before. And that is 4 or less. We're going to let it rest. We're going to get rid of those. The nearest 1,000 will be 23,000. Excuse me. Well, now we have to do the nearest 10,000. So let's draw the number again. 23,000. Oops, I made a mistake. 421. Okay. Well, it says nearest 10,000. So I got to find the 10,000s place. Ones, tens, hundreds, thousands, 10,000s. I'm going to underline it. So to round this score, I must look before. That's a 3. Well, that 3 is not going to help me raise this up. So I'm going to say that it is closest to, I already used him. He helped me. So he's going to become a 0, 2. So 23,000 is actually closest to 20,000. Okay, now that we have practiced the front together, you're going to go to the back, look at your example. You can use a number line to round to the nearest 1,000 or 10,000. 3,945 rounds to 400. Why? Look how close he is. And 38,500 rounds to 40,000 because why? Look how close he is. I want you to do guided practice 1 through 7 by yourself and independent practice by yourself too. It says round to the nearest 100 and round to the nearest 1,000 here. Those are the most important things that you need to know. Round to the nearest 100 here. Round to the nearest 1,000. Round to the nearest 10,000. So focus on all of those things. If it tells you where you're looking, underline that place value. Find your score that you're going to round. All right, last review for the song. To round the score, we must look before. If it's 4 or less, we let it rest. But 5 or more, we raise that score. All right, I hope you get your homework done. Have a great weekend.